This is the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right, another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, where we are breaking down District 5 and 6 activities week in, week out in our great state of Idaho. Brandon Baney joined as always by Sean Kane. Yo, what's going on?
On my nice, lovely drive to my house with the leaves falling, I kind of thought, you know what October is? October is like the time of tears. You have senior nights, people are crying. You have district championships, win or loss, people are crying. And then, ultimately we'll have some state champions. And, you're either in tears because you won or you're in tears because you lost. So like October with all the senior nights and things like that, it's kind of it's a month for tears.
A time of tears. I like that. On a personal note, we're recording this a little earlier in the week than we're used to, Sean, for good reason. Both you and I have very backloaded schedules as we get further along into the week, Sean. I have football games to broadcast Thursday and Friday night. I've got two games on 2 nights.
You're taking a shot at me, aren't you?
And Sean, you are getting out of town this weekend for an excursion.
Yeah, I'm going to see Blink-182 with all my buddies from high school. We went to Blink-182 here in Pocatello when we were kids, younger kids. If you're familiar with the Pocatello area, there's a place called the Booth Barn where they hold like weddings and dances. Blink-182 played there. They also played at the Bannock Fairgrounds, and there's just a bunch of bands that we used to go see every weekend playing too. And then we also used to work for the production company here in town, so we'd like work the show and get a free t-shirt and get paid to see it. So it's going to be pretty fun to see all these bands we haven't seen for a long time. Like some of their songs are 20 years old. Think about that. Like we don't even have stuff that's 20 years old, but a lot of these bands, their songs are over 20 years old and still popular to people my age.
Yeah. I was going to say, when I worked in radio in Nebraska, our radio company got into the business of putting on concerts. And so, yeah, I kind of did what you did. I worked the concert basically, but it was more, I had to do it. I didn't really get paid any extra. I was on salary. So it was just like show up and do it. But I was a roadie for some rock and roll bands. Got to wheel the drum kit out on stage for Bret Michaels. And then I'm hanging out backstage and the show is over. And I kind of feel somebody tapping me on the shoulder, and I spin around, and it's Bret Michaels, and he starts like shadow boxing me. Like I was like, all right, cool, I'll roll with it. So yeah, I shadow boxed Bret Michaels one time. That's probably the most famous thing I've ever done, Sean.
Wow. I mean, I think the most famous thing he ever did was The Rock of Love. Probably not his music, but that reality TV show is great. He played here at the Wellness Center a few years back. I mean, it's good. You can't go wrong with 80s rock. I mean, that could be a title of another podcast, but 80s rock, it bridges a lot of gaps musical wise. No one ever gets upset at 80s rock. I'm throwing that out there.
Yeah, I mean that's scientifically proven too. You can check the research.
check the data.
That's right. All right. Well, it is the time of tears because we have state soccer going on this week, district volleyball, and the final week of regular season football is here as well, Sean. Soccer talk, you're going to get it in a separate podcast this week. Okay. Christian Wiener and myself are going to be doing state boys and girls soccer previews. We'll break down all the brackets, tell you who to keep an eye on, players to watch, all that fun stuff. It'll be our state soccer preview special, and it'll be in this podcast feed, the East Idaho podcast on IdahoSports.com. So we will just get into volleyball, Sean, postseason volleyball. Now, we are recording this on Tuesday, October 17th. Turns out this wasn't a great day to record because there's a lot of stuff actually happening tonight.
Right now,
we won't be able to actually talk about results too much, but let's start with the district that has actually played 2 full rounds thus far, and that would be the smallest level, the 1A D2 Rocky Mountain Conference. Now, again, if you're watching the video version of this on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel or Facebook page, I'm going to share my screen. You'll see the brackets up on the screen, and you can watch as we navigate through them. If you are listening on the IdahoSports.com website or wherever you download your podcasts, it's all good. We've got the volleyball district brackets on the homepage as well. You can follow along there. But here is this Rocky Mountain Conference bracket, Sean, and I will admit I'm still missing a couple of scores from the back end of the bracket. So any volleyball fans out there in the Rocky Mountain Conference want to tell me who won these consolation games Saturday, that'd be great because they're up again tonight. But on the winner's side of the bracket, Sean, we see this started on Saturday. Shelley High School is the host. It is going to be for the district championship tonight in Shelley, 6 o'clock. Number 1, Grace Lutheran. Number 3, Mackey. Let's start with the Royals. They are still undefeated, Sean. They beat Clark County 3-0 in the first round. They beat Ledore in the semis 3-0 as well. They haven't dropped a set yet at districts.
Yeah, and we talked about Grace this season, and having that good season looks like it really set him up, because if you look at this bracket, you feel the bottom half is very strong with Rockland and Mackey, and man, I Grace has just done something pretty amazing with 7 girls this year. Regardless of whatever happens, you just have to kind of tip your hats to that. 7 girls, best probably their program's ever done in history. Just amazing.
And I mean, they're still undefeated.
Yeah.
They haven't lost it. They're 20-0 on the season, Sean. They went 16-0 in league play. They swept a non-conference series with Aberdeen this year, which is a Class 2A school, by the way. They're really punching up a class. And then they won the first 2 at district. So they're 20-0 going into this matchup tonight. So let's take a look at what happened on the bottom half of the bracket, where Mackey beats North Gem in their tournament opener. Rockland beat Taylor's Crossing. And then in this big epic semi, Mackey gets the best of Rockland, the 3-2, 3-1. And so no matter what happens, Grace Lutheran and Mackey have both qualified for state, which is quite the accomplishment considering Rockland has been the team that's been competing for the 1A D2 state championship the past couple of years.
Yeah, it's just kind of a flip of the script, right? You got a different different teams winning, and Rockland's going to have to fight their way in now. And the reason I wasn't bringing up the undefeated thing is because as a coach, you never want to talk about that. So it's always like I never want to bring that up in the back of my mind. But yeah, Rockland's on a different route than they're used to, and they're going to have to win a few games here to even get a play-in game. So at least they have the ability to do that.
Yeah, and I'm getting results as we're doing this, Sean. So okay. I put out the bat signal, and some people got in touch with me. It is Rockland and Water Springs 2-4 in a loser-out match today at Shelley, and then number 5 Ledore and number 7 Taylor's Crossing in the other loser-out matchup. So that will be interesting to keep an eye on for sure. This is all going down again at Shelley High School. Whoever takes third place, Sean, will have the opportunity to battle their way to state via a play-in match against the champion from the north. That is going to be, it's a 2-team district now. It's going to be the Wampus Cats from Clark Fork. They're a pretty strong program year in, year out, so it's not guaranteed, but I would say pretty good chance, whether it's Rockland, Water Springs, Ledore, or Taylor's Crossing. I think all of them would compete well in that play-in match.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
So we will keep an eye on that and see what shakes out there. Well, let's just move up to the 1A D1 bracket, Sean. This is being held at Thunder Ridge High School. Starts Tuesday, the 17th. So Butte County and Grace. We talked about it. These two teams have battled all year long, Sean. They're 2 of the 8 best teams in the state for volleyball. I don't care what anybody says. Only one is going to get to go to state, the district champion. How closely contested were these 2 teams this year? Well, Butte County went 16-1. Grace went 13-1. They each went 3-1 in district play. They each beat each other. They split the series. Grace won the first matchup by a score of 3-0. And then Butte County won the rematch, also in a sweep, 3-0. It doesn't get any more even than this.
Yeah, kind of a flip of a coin, and probably Grace will win against Chalice, and we'll have to see what the third match will entail, right, for that district championship.
Yeah, so and it literally did come down to the flip of the coin. Butte County won the coin flip, therefore they got the number 1 seed. That is exactly how that was determined, Sean. And so, yes, you see Butte County and Grace are going to play for the third time, most likely, in this undefeated semifinal. They're probably going to match up again here for the 4th time in the district championship. And let's just say the loser of the first matchup wins the second one. It sets up this, if necessary, 5th match. You're talking about a best-of-5 game series. That's like baseball playoffs.
That's a series, the best-of-7 NBA playoff or something. I mean, that's a lot of times to play a team. Most people say if you played a team, 10 times, you're going to get a couple wins out of there. So, man, it's going to be tough for either of them, it looks like.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure. Good luck to all the ladies competing at the 1A D1 tournament. That is in Thunder Ridge. All right, Sean, this tournament started on Saturday. Malad, the number 1 seed out of Class 2A District 5, which means Malad gets to host everything. It's Malad and Bear Lake playing Wednesday, October 18th in the undefeated semifinal. That's 1 versus 2. This is a 5-team bracket, so Malad played Aberdeen in the opener 3-0. Then they got a bye into that undefeated semifinal. Bear Lake came the other way. They had a bye in the opening round and then beat Westside, the 3 seed, 3-1. Westside and Soda Springs will play Wednesday at 4 o'clock, right before the undefeated semifinal in a loser-out game. And Aberdeen has already been eliminated by Soda Springs. What do you make of this tournament?
Malad's been pretty good in the volleyball aspect, and they have great coaching down there, and kind of like the Dragons. And then also you've got that kind of classic Bear Lake Westside matchup that happens a lot in volleyball, and they have good athletes. Westside had a really good volleyball year last year, and not so bad that and doing pretty well this year. But I do like Malad probably coming through here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if it is Westside and Bear Lake again on that backside. Can Westside finally break through? They've had a hard time this year against the Bears. 2 teams do have the opportunity to go to state. The second place team will play second place from the Nuclear Conference. That is District 6. That will be a state tournament play-in match as well. Speaking of the Nuclear Conference, Sean, that is where we are going to go next. I'm just finishing a couple of updates to the bracket because they actually started playing earlier this afternoon. And this tournament is taking place at a neutral site. They kind of rotate amongst the schools in the conference. This is at Firth High School this year, Sean, but here's what we have so far. Take a look at this bracket. We had the play-in match this morning, 11 o'clock. Number 4 Ryrie beats number 5 West Jefferson 3-1. Then they had to turn around and play Salmon, the number 1 seed. Salmon gets the win. They are into the undefeated semifinal. We kind of gave Salmon a shout out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
This is a fun team to watch. Uh-oh. I think we lost Sean. He froze up on us. You there?
I'm here.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, you talked about Salmon, a team that, I think, Ryrie's kind of been the top dog, right? Raleigh Bulldogs, and maybe in this conference in volleyball for a while. So it's nice to see Salmon kind of coming up and having a chance to go to state. And that would just be, I think, pretty amazing for them.
Yeah, Firth, the 2 seed, beat number 3 North Fremont in their opener 3-1. So you've got undefeated semifinal tonight. They really jam in the games.
Yeah.
at this tournament. It's Salmon and Firth tonight at 7. Ryrie and North Fremont probably playing right now or pretty close. They're going to play at 5 o'clock in a loser-out match. And again, friendly reminder with these district tournament stuff, we try not to look at it on too much of a micro level, just because by the time you're listening to this, the results have probably already happened. But big picture, Salmon, really exciting that they won the regular season title, and they've got a good team too. So keep an eye out on the Savages. All right, let's go to Class 3A. Sean, we will start in District 5, where This tournament started on Saturday. Snake River is the number 1 seed. They get to host. Marsh Valley beats American Falls 3-0 in the first matchup. And then Snake River sweeps Marsh Valley 3-0 there. So Marsh Valley and American Falls play in a loser-out match. Winner will challenge Snake River again for the district championship. 1 bid available to state. The second-place finisher does have a chance to play their way in via the play-in match against the second-place team from District 6.
Yep, and just, kind of the same scenario about if you don't win that district championship, you're taking it the hard way. But Snake River's had a really good year. They've kind of been under the radar too, I think, as far as volleyball this year. So they've had a good year, and I like Snake River, and shout out to them because they're quietly, I think, having a pretty good year.
Yeah, Snake River's having an outstanding season. Got a lot of talented seniors on that team this year for sure. Mountain Rivers Conference, 3A District 6, Sean. This started Saturday as well. And Sugar Salem and South Fremont ended up tying for the district title. Sugar gets the 1 seed on the tiebreaker. Doesn't matter. South Fremont beats the Diggers in 5 sets on Saturday, 3-2, after beating Teton in the opening round 3-0. So now you've got South Fremont in the undefeated semifinal, kind of just moving through, and now they're into the championship. Sugar Salem will play Teton tonight. This tournament is happening at Teton High School. Winner of that will get to play South Fremont, where they would need to beat the Cougars twice. This was a huge breakthrough for South Fremont.
Yeah, typically when we look at this bracket, this 3A district, right? This bracket, you usually see the Sugar Salem Teton match, and one little side over it's happening a little earlier than this time. And what a great job by North Fremont to come all the way, to be in that championship matchup. Or South Fremont, South Fremont. But yeah, what a great job.
Yeah, pretty outstanding. And we'll keep an eye on that, but good luck to the Cougars. All right, 4A, Sean. Let's start with sure, we'll start with District 5. We'll keep it consistent. Pocatello, the 1 seed, Century, the 2, Preston, the 3. This starts tonight. Are you on the mic for this, Sean?
No, I'm not.
You don't PA announce?
I did Century's senior night, and nope, I wasn't asked to. There's just like so much going on, like the boys soccer team's leaving. There's this. I am a man of many talents, but I can only do so much. But and then sometimes when they do the tournament, they kind of like, how they warm up volleyball, they just kind of go starters. They kind of get into it because, they typically play 2 in 1 night, which obviously is going to happen right here. So Century just played Preston, beat them pretty easily in 3 on their senior night. So they'll be playing here pretty soon. And then, if all goes according to plan, they'll play Pokey, and Pocatello and Century have had some pretty tough contested matches. So I think that'll be a pretty good battle if that ends up what's playing out.
Yeah, and I got to assume these are at Pocatello, right? This says Century, but that's...
I believe the number 1 seed would hold it, so it's got to be Pocatello.
That. Yeah, because the winner of that will play Pocatello right away. Pocatello is the favorite coming in, but I don't know. Century this time of year, they just always seem to find a way. So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
They've just kind of been a team that's been playing into their season, and as it's went on, they've played better. But Pocatello, they've got a lot of good players. They're kind of young too, but they've got a couple good tennis players too that play volleyball. I don't know why, but they're good. I think it'll be good. I think only 1 team makes it. I think you've definitely got 2 teams probably that should be there between Century and Pocatello, some top volleyball teams, but only 1 goes, and that's how it goes.
Cool. Well, we'll keep an eye on it for sure. Good luck to Pocatello and Century and Preston. Hey, District 6 starts tonight as well, Sean. Bonneville is the 1 seed. Idaho Falls is the 2 seed. They both get first round buys. And then you've got 4 versus 5, Hillcrest versus Blackfoot, 3 versus 6, Skyline versus Shelley. The winner of Skyline and Shelley will have to play Idaho Falls immediately in a semifinal. Winner of Hillcrest and Blackfoot will do the same, but with Bonneville. This, to me, is a really interesting kind of I don't want to say it's a 3-team race because you've got Bonneville, who's great, obviously. Idaho Falls, which has been underrated all year long, but they've got several outstanding athletes, including a Division I commit in Grace Fugger. Skyline, we haven't mentioned this, but Audrey Atwood. With a 1,000 career kill mark earlier this year. Hillcrest has a lot of good, talented athletes, and it was Blackfoot who actually got to state last year for the first time in like 20 years.
Yeah, so when you're thinking about this, I think every time we pull up a District 6, we should have to come up with what our upset is going to be, because I feel like there was some in soccer, there's usually some in football. Like District 6, we get, we should have to put it to ourselves to be like, what's the upset special coming out of this bracket? And like you said, I think Skyline's definitely a dangerous team lurking, and the same with Hillcrest. But I mean, I don't know. You got to play the matches. I definitely like Bonneville, coming out of here one way or the other. But who's going to take that other spot could be a really big battle.
It's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out. Idaho Falls girls soccer got to state as a number 5 seed.
Yeah.
Could Blackfoot as a 5 seed do it again? Why not?
I mean, yeah. And then I never like to count out Shelley either. Shelley's always really tough. They've won some volleyball championships when they're in 3A, and you know what kind of basketball players they have at Shelley as well as a very good team. They've got some tall kids, and you can't count on a Shelley. You can't count out the russet, the potato.
That's right. Well, keep an eye on this, what could be a topsy-turvy bracket for sure. All right, and then the High Country Conference, cancel. Okay, there we go. District 5-6 volleyball tournament, High Country Conference, Class 5A, Sean. Hey, this starts tonight. What do you know? This is going to be at Madison. They're the number 1 seed. Madison, the 1, will play Thunder Ridge, the 4. Rigby, the 2, will play Highland, the 3. We like Madison. Honestly, I kind of like Highland a little more than Rigby, but that to me is a coin toss.
It's Rigby always has a really tough volleyball team. Highland historically is always good at volleyball. It's just Madison's been super tough, but yeah, I kind of like the chances of Highland coming out of this, maybe. But even if they win this one, I definitely could see Rigby and Highland playing again down there at the bottom. If it pans out, kind of the way I'm thinking, I could see them having to play twice to make it to state, one of those teams.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. 1.5 bids to state. District champ gets to go. District runner-up will play the 5th place team from District 3. Who's that going to be? Your guess is as good as mine. That league was kind of all over the place this year. So, yeah, we will see. That's what's going on in volleyball. We'll know a lot more next week, Sean. And we are doing, just like we're doing a state soccer preview special, we are doing a state volleyball tournament preview special as well next week with Lindsay Togiai Afuk, our in-house volleyball expert. Should be a great time.
Yeah, it was good last year. It's good to hear all the other teams. Like, you hear about the teams, but it's good to get a little more insight. And because sometimes, like for me, I look up, I'll look at the Max Prep ranking, right, to kind of see where they are. But that, I don't know if that ranking tells you the stories you'd really want to hear. And that's what you guys do on these shows, is give the stories you want to hear, because a number doesn't tell you anything really. It just puts it in order. So like finding out those 4 and 5 matchups in the state tournaments, and getting the insight on those, man, those are phenomenal. I'm excited to hear some of the soccer ones as well.
Yeah, and what I like about Lindsay is she played the game, obviously, at a high level for a very long time, and now is still coaching. And so she knows, like, what makes a good team. And on paper, a team cannot look great, and then she'll come in and go, oh, these girls actually are really good because X, Y, and Z. And so I really appreciate that perspective on it, because I'm not around the game or know the game like she does, so it helps out a lot for sure. So, all right, that's next week, though. Let's tune in to the final week of high school football in the state of Idaho. Sean, really, I just kind of want to hit on the big matchups that are going to have playoff implications. And I think we have to start at 5A with Rigby and Madison. I mean, it's pretty clear. The winner gets the second spot to state from District 5 and 6. Highland already wrapped up the conference title with the win over Madison last week, 38-28. And the loser, I mean, if Rigby loses, there's a good chance they get that at large bid. There's only one available. It's based on your Max Preps ranking. Madison, the way I see it, has no chance. They've got to get a win here against Rigby to secure their spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, and watching that Highland-Madison game, Madison showed me kind of what they do every year. They they kind of have some ups and downs at the start of the year, but towards the end of the year they find a way to win big games. And they had chances to come back and be a very good Highland team, right? And I honestly didn't think Madison would maybe put up such a fight against Highland, but now it makes me think. I mean, this Rigby-Madison game, we've seen this through the years where Rigby's the undefeated team and Madison finds a way to win, and it's a big rivalry game regardless. And now it's win and you get to go to state game, so you've put a little extra sprinkles on that ice cream.
It's going to be very tantalizing to see. I'm going Rigby here. I trust the Trojans, and I frankly I don't trust Madison. I mean, if we're just being real, I would love to be wrong, and I will say Madison did play very well against Highland, dug themselves into too big of a hole early, and that's why they weren't able to climb that mountain and get back into it. But I will take Rigby in this one. 4A, we've got some interesting matchups, 3 of which you can watch on IdahoSports.com. You've got, first of all, Idaho Falls at Hillcrest. That's going to be at Ravston Stadium. Can the Knights finish off an undefeated season and keep that number 1 overall seed for the 4A postseason? For Idaho Falls, they currently would be into the playoffs. Could they boost their stock with a win? With a loss, would they drop out? I don't think so. And then I think this is an interesting game matchup-wise. Idaho Falls is tough.
I've said this all year. I think Idaho Falls is this team you don't want to have to play in the playoffs. I think they've got a lot of weapons. I think they do a lot of things well. The defense is good, and their offense and defensive line is big, and that showed off against Skyline. Idaho Falls had chances to beat a very good Skyline team, and I think it'll be Hillcrest has found a way to win a lot of games late. So hopefully if it comes down to that, I kind of like Hillcrest because that's what they've done all year. But if Idaho Falls finds a way to manage this game and get ahead early, who knows what happens, but I think Idaho Falls is the best team with that record. I can't remember what the record is right now, but 3 and 5. Probably the best 3 and 5 team in 4A. I would put it. You put my guarantee on that.
Yeah, they've taken their lumps. They've played a very tough schedule. There is no doubt about it. All right. Also Friday night in the 4A ranks on IdahoSports.com. In District 6, we have Skyline at Shelley. Sean, this is going to decide second and third place in the conference, and that's an important distinction because if you take second place, you are guaranteed a top 8 seed and a home playoff game for the first round. If you take third, you are automatically one of the bottom 8 teams and probably the number 9 seed overall, no matter who it is, but you're having to travel for the opening round of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a huge game. It seems like it's a little more huge for Shelley. I think Shelley probably is going to benefit the most from winning this game. But man, Shelley's just been that dark horse all year. Like, I mean, we weren't talking about Shelley, and they almost beat Pocatello. They've done a lot of things, and I think Shelley needs to win this game really to boost their. They don't want to have to. It seems like Shelley makes the playoffs. They always have to go somewhere really far away, and that just never seems to end well. But I mean, Josh Well does a great job, and then it's important for Skyline too. Skyline looking for that elusive 4-peat, right? Skyline's probably not getting as much talk as they normally do, but Monty Morell, I tell you what, if you can play defense and run the football, you win playoff games. I mean, I don't know what coach doesn't say that, and Skyline does those two things very well.
Yeah, and Skyline and Shelley played last week. Of course, Shelley led that game 10-7. Or excuse me,
Hillcrest.
yes, Hillcrest. Shelley played Hillcrest last week and led that game 10-7 at halftime and only lost 28-16. So I'm very intrigued to see how this game goes, Sean. Like I said, the loser of this probably slots in as that number 9 seed, aka the best at-large team that makes it. Guess who's pretty firmly locked into that number 8 seed?
Preston?
Sandpoint.
Oh, so far. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, far.
I knew
far
it. It always happens. Or like it always happens that way.
Shelley had to go to Sandpoint for the quarterfinals like 2 years ago. So
yes.
I mean, they're used to it, but man, if you can avoid that and have a home game, that is huge. So that's on IdahoSports.com. We have Hillcrest and Idaho Falls. We have Skyline and Shelley. We also have the Crosstown Showdown, Century and Pocatello, Sean, in District 5. Pocatello with a win clinches the district outright and gets a top 8 spot to state. With a loss, it becomes a little more complicated. Then you're talking about a 3-way tie for the conference title between Pocatello, Preston, and Century, with all of them having beaten each other. It was kind of the same scenario last year. And honestly, it was a game you and I were at, Sean, a year ago. And Century, I thought, actually competed
very well.
Really well.
And so I did find out what the tiebreaker is for they just use max preps.
Oh,
because they don't have common opponents. So that for all three they don't. So the next rung was max prep. So really, no matter what, probably Pocatello, like I was saying at the game, they're making it to the playoffs, pretty much hands down, win or lose.
Okay,
because that would be the tiebreaker.
And even with a win, like let's say Century wins this game, I don't know that that's going to give them enough of a bump in their max preps ranking to put them into the playoffs, unfortunately. So
yeah. If they would have won against Preston and then somehow won tonight, it might have been close because Century has one of the I think the third highest strength of schedule in max prep. So, but it's all right. But it should be a good game. Like I was thinking of that last year. It ended up being I think a much more competitive game than we thought, and Century's played their way into it. But I'll tell you what, Pocatello looked like what everyone thought Pocatello was going to be at the start of the year, Friday night against Preston.
Yeah, Pocatello looked very good last week, so we will see how it shakes out there. 3A, Sean, the big matchup everyone has circled is Marsh Valley at American Falls. Now, I think both of these teams probably get into the playoffs. I mean, American Falls definitely isn't in. Marsh Valley, a 1-7. A win would be great because there's 2 auto bids to the playoffs. Then you're not having to take an at-large. I think ultimately both of these teams, Marsh Valley needed to win one game somewhere. They won last week at South Fremont, and that's probably going to be enough. The big question is, will Marsh Valley be 1-8 and playing in the playoffs? And if that happens, do we have a conversation about we got too many teams in the playoffs?
Yeah, I had to pull up my phone because that's one of the games we're picking, and I couldn't remember what team I picked because I scrutinized over which one to pick. But that's why I had to look. But I think anytime you get a team in the playoffs that's has a record like that, you're going to get a lot of chirping from the peanut gallery. But I mean, the rules are the rules. You can't get mad if that's what happens because then you got to go and change it. But as a coach, I don't like it. I like to see the best teams get there, but we kind of have to play by the rules that we're given.
Yeah, and I will tell you, American Falls led Snake River at halftime 9-7 last week. I mean, they were in it. I keep talking about American Falls. I think they're a better team than people are giving them credit for. We will wait and see, though, how works.
I will say I did pick American Falls. I'm going to say that right now.
Yeah.
I'm going on the record.
That's what I would pick as well. We are now on IdahoSports.com on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. All the Prepcast hosts are making weekly picks. We pick one game in each classification. We pick the winner. It's the pick 6. And Sean, you're middle of the pack. 2 weeks
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. I was like 3-3. I was, wasn't at the bottom.
That's right. That would be our boss, Paul Kingsbury, bringing up the rear. 2A. Interesting matchups are going to be, I think. I mean, in terms of the playoff implications, there's not really any, but these are more measuring stick games to see, okay, where does everybody actually line up as we get ready for the playoffs? You've got Ryrie at North Fremont. Ryrie just beat West Jefferson in overtime last Friday, 12-6, after they had lost to Firth in overtime previously this year. So Ryrie has won a game in overtime. They've lost a game in overtime. How do they do against the big dogs from North Fremont? North Fremont only led Firth last week 14-8, and they ended up, putting on a lot of points after that. So I'll be interested to see how Ryrie looks specifically against North Fremont.
Yeah, that should be interesting, and just to kind of see how when you go now that we've had enough games, right? You can go back and look and see how they did against some similar opponents, and even then, it's kind of sometimes hard to pick who's better, just because you got so many different matchups and the different ways people play. But yeah, that should be an interesting matchup in the 2A.
And then also in District 5 on Friday, we have Bear Lake at Aberdeen. Both teams are 4-3 on the season. Winner of this will take second place officially. And I don't know. I think Bear Lake is kind of peaking at the right time of the season here, Sean. They put up 40 points last week. I think they're finally starting to feel comfortable about where they are as an offense. And I'm just saying, look out. The defending champs, they got a head of steam.
Yeah, that's another pick I scrutinized, but I went the other way. I like Aberdeen. I feel like Aberdeen's played into the season well. I just, I've been to Aberdeen for a game. I went with Aberdeen.
and Aberdeen has been excelling without their starting quarterback, Gage Driscoll. He's been out for pretty much the whole year. Lupe Ortiz has stepped in and done a great job filling in. But this is an Aberdeen team that hasn't played with the full deck of cards this season. And here they are thriving in spite of that. So you're right. Aberdeen has had a fantastic season as well. All right, 8-man football, Sean. The big matchup is Butte County at Grace. Winner wins the district, gets a top 4 seed, gets a first round bye. Winner is still in the playoffs, but doesn't get the bye. Butte County 7-1, Grace is 5-2. This is a heavyweight battle.
Yeah, just a great matchup. I kind of like Grace just because they went and played a tough Kendrick team, and there's a schedule wise, I kind of like what they did. Does that mean anything? Maybe not. I don't know. You kind of have to start picking at straws when you got 2 really good teams playing, right? Got to look for something. So I kind of like Grace just because of what they kind of did schedule wise, and again, Grace is always that team just kind of lurking, like, yeah, there's Grace. They don't have social media. I don't know, maybe they don't have internet out there, but you know what? They have footballs, they got grass, and they got pads, and they use all those very well.
They sure do. They are a tough team for sure. Okay, let's talk about 1AD2, Sean, where last week Water Springs beats North Gem 22-16. I'll be honest, nobody, myself included, whether it was on this podcast or the Idaho 8-man Prepcast, our standalone Prepcast dedicated solely to 8-man football, not a single word about Water Springs has been uttered this year. And we need to start talking about Water Springs because they beat North Gem 22-16. Warriors get a rushing touchdown from Landon Reamer. Jackson Aldinger caught a touchdown pass. Nate D'Antoni had the other touchdown reception. Elvin Lynn rushes for 60 yards, has an interception on defense. Luke Henry has 10 tackles. Water Springs, with a win against Mackey on Friday, Sean, takes that second spot to the playoffs behind Rockland.
Yeah, Water Springs, 8-man football, it's small schools, right? Water Springs is small, but Water Springs, in whatever sport it is, maximizes their talent, right? I think they have whatever few kids, they really get the most out of everyone. We've kind of seen that across the board in their sports, and they're doing it right now, football again. And Shame on us for missing it.
Yeah, and some crazy things could happen in this conference, Sean. I'll outline them just very quickly. Rockland is 2-0. North Gem and Water Springs are both 1-2. Mackey is 0-2. The most straightforward path is Rockland beats North Gem on Friday. Water Springs beats Mackey on Friday. Rockland and Water Springs are your two playoff teams. But what if North Gem beats Rockland? Then what? Then you've got still, if Water Springs beats Mackey, yeah, they're both 2-1. But then Rockland is also 2-1. So you could have a three-way tie at the top between Rockland, North Gem, and Water Springs, 3 teams for one playoff spot. And it could go the opposite way too. What if Water Springs loses to Mackey and North Gem loses to Rockland? Then North Gem, Water Springs, and Mackey are all 1-2 and tied for second place. So in terms of straightforward path, I always like that the best because I don't like figuring out the math, but there could be some interesting tiebreakers in play here.
Yeah, and I guess it depends on what their district does. Every district has different tiebreakers. I don't know if you know what theirs is exactly, but I hope it's Kansas City. I like those. I like it when it's like a Saturday and they're at Madison High School playing Kansas City. I don't know why, but I like that. But that's just me.
I think you just volunteered to broadcast the Kansas City tiebreaker, Sean, on IdahoSports.com in East Idaho.
Welcome to Kansas City. No Taylor Swift though. But I do. Yeah, you do have to. You think of. I do have to give a shout out to Teague Matthews because man, this guy's done kind of a crazy amount of stuff this year. He's thrown for 1,500 yards, 29 TDs. He's rushed for 1,000 yards, 19 TDs. He's also has 51 tackles, 3 interceptions as a linebacker in 7 games. Those are pretty good stats from Teague Matthews. 1,000 running and throwing as quarterback, and then a few tackles. So, I like Rockland because of Teague Matthews.
He's got some D1 colleges, kind of putting feelers out. Hello, if I'm Idaho State, I'm getting this kid like yesterday.
He could do something. I guarantee he could do something. He reminds me of a couple guys that are in the NFL now that played in very small 8-man football and played at Boise State. And what's the guy at Dallas?
Leighton Vander Esch.
Yeah, like he kind of reminds me of like him exactly. Just kind of could do it all, and don't sleep on this guy.
Yeah, ISU, let's get on it. Let's get Teague Matthews snapped up there. So it's going to be a great week of football again. 3 games for your viewing pleasure Friday night on IdahoSports.com. Hillcrest at Idaho Falls, Skyline at Shelley, Century at Pocatello. Should be a great time. Sean, you enjoy the concert, sir.
I will try my best. It'll be fun. I'm excited to relive some of the days me and my buddies have been texting like bring the 800 ibuprofen, heartburn medicine. Some of them are saying their mosh pit days are over. I don't know if mine ever started, but where it's like a bunch of geriatric guys at this punk rock concert. It'll be fun. It'll be good to see friends and see all these bands. And man, like they were old when I was a kid, so some of them are. It's kind of weird to think they've been doing this for like 20 years as their job, but hats off to them. If you get to do what you love and make money and just play music, I don't think many of us would say no.
Yeah, it's not really work if you really enjoy what you're doing. So thank you, Sean, for popping on as always here on the East Idaho Prepcast. I'm Brandon Baney. Don't forget, State Soccer Preview also coming into your podcast feed. Be on the lookout for that. And until then, for Sean Kane, I'm Brandon Baney. We'll see you next time on IdahoSports.com.